Hello, in this video we are going to be looking at my outdoor Hoyas, starting with my oldest Hoya, which is my Hoya kerrii. This one has actually grown really well since I put it outside. I don't know if it's growing well because I put it outside or because I staked it. Because I heard that Hoya kerrii does like to be staked, and if it isn't staked, it will grow or it will not grow well at all. But since I've put it outside, it's grown. Let me sort of point it to you, but it's grown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's got 2 leaves right here. But when I was trying to wrangle it to kind of make it stand up in the video, I think I damaged this new leaf right here. So we'll see if that one drops. It probably will, but it's growing really well since I put it outside here in Ventura. We do not get, you can look up the yearly weather in Ventura and it doesn't get super hot or super cold. So I think it's going to do well out through the winter. But I got this one from Green Thumb about 2 or 3 years ago. And I've had it, obviously I've had it for a while. I'm keeping it in the same sort of setup as my Hoya carnosa, sans the pebble layer on top. So this is a pot. It's moss over leca, and I had these rocks in here, or these they're actually drinking stones. You put them in the freezer and it's supposed to make your alcohol cooler without them melting, but since I don't drink hard alcohol or liquor like that anymore, I use them for counterweight, but I should probably just take them out because now it's in a hanging basket on a trellis. But yeah, the roots are doing really well. I find that Hoyas generally like this kind of setup, even though a lot of Hoya growers say that you should not grow your Hoyas in moss. For them, they should not be growing their Hoyas in moss, but you may be able to get away with it. So I'm not sure if this is variegated or this is just because of the direct sun, but it does have this sort of splotchiness to it. It could also be a disease, but I don't think it's sick. These bottom leaves are starting to sort of turn and drop off, but I don't know if that's because of any sort of sickness, because under the leaf, the leaves feel sturdy in and of themselves too. It might just be because of the cold, because this did start popping up, this discoloration. It did start popping up after I put them outside, so I don't know what's going on with that, but the new leaves are coming in okay. They're not perfectly heart-shaped, but whatever. I'm just trying to get it to bloom and see the flowers, because the flowers are really pretty for Hoyas. I feel like the color contrast between the cream and maroon is nice. And I think the nectar is a nice color too. That sort of adds to the appeal of the flowers. So yeah, this is my giant Hoya kerrii from Green Thumb. Not much more to say about this one. And I'm gonna get another one to show you right now. Okay, and we're back to our regular view because that kerrii was just humongous. So this is my Hoya linearis, and I got this a couple weeks ago from Sorella Orchids. So this one did have a peduncle for me right here, but let me see if it can focus. But I think I let it get too dry, and it just sort of obviously aborted the peduncle. So I think I'm gonna switch this into a moss bark mix over leca, because I am moving away from the full moss mix that my kerrii and carnosa are in, just because I don't like how there is a potential for the moss to stay wet for a lot longer than if you include bark in there. So I'm sort of moving away from full moss. Anyways, I'm growing this one outside, and it seems to be doing well. It's put out from my hand down. It's put out this new growth since I've got it. And I think these leaves right here some of them are new. And it has new growth right here. This one's extending, and then there's some other growth points around here. that are extending. So it's doing well outside. And if you want to know the conditions that I'm keeping them in, I'm gonna send you over to my outdoor tour, the tour of my outdoor grow area, whatever the video is called. I'll probably link it down in the description. But that will show you the conditions that it's in outside. So that's it with my Hoya linearis, nothing really to talk about there. I'm gonna get another Hoya and we're gonna continue this video. So the next Hoya I have to show you is my Hoya Diversifolia. And I got this Hoya for no other reason than the name. Diversifolia, diverse foliage, different shaped leaves. And as you can see right here, different shaped leaves. So I just think that's interesting. The flowers are also the flowers are also supposed to be fragrant, as most Hoyas are. So nothing really to report on there, but it does seem to be a vigorous grower in this area. So yeah, not much to say about this one. It is growing outside, and as you can see, it's growing up, and this is hanging. Once you look at the outdoor grow video or outdoor grow area tour video, you'll see how this was growing, and this part is actually growing up the trellis, like against the wood on the trellis. So I'm hoping that it will attach onto there and hopefully grow more vigorously, because I do know that, you know, Hoyas, most Hoyas, except for maybe like Hoya multiflora, which is a very woody Hoya, most Hoyas grow better when they're attached to something. So I'm hoping that once this sort of gets acclimated onto the trellis, it will grow faster and put out some more growth so I can take a cutting and grow it inside, because I don't want to bring anything, like any soil specifically, from outside to inside, because it can harbor pests even if you don't see any or you don't think there's any in there. So this is my Hoya Diversifolia, and I noticed that just as I was bringing it in, on the back it's getting these sort of like red spots. At least right here you can tell for sure. But yeah, I don't think this one sun stresses. I think it just gets like chlorotic, I guess. like my kerrii, it's got these sort of patches here. I don't really mind. I don't think it's bad for the plant either. It just means that it's getting high light, and not to give it any more light than it's getting right now, which it will not be getting any more light than it's getting right now. So yeah, that's my Hoya Diversifolia from Sorella Orchids. I got this about a month ago. And now I have just 2 more Hoyas to show you. So the next orchid that I have in my outdoor grow area is my Hoya australis Lisa. So I have a Hoya australis, which is actually my biggest Hoya, and it is a joy to grow. So I figured that I would get the variegated form of the australis, which is Hoya australis Lisa. So generally I'm not a big fan of variegated plants in general, but I do like plants that have this type of variegation, very similar to the Philodendron Brazil or Philodendron Rio. I'll put a picture of the philodendron that I'm talking about right here. But I like that it has the cream, the lighter green, the darker green, and of course on the australis you have the red new growth. It's very similar to some ficuses as well, which I like the variegation on those too. But yeah, this is my Hoya australis Lisa, and as you may have seen on my outdoor grow area tour, this new growth was not here a couple weeks ago when I filmed that. Because when I brought it home from the greenhouse, it did stall out a little bit, but it has resumed growing. So I guess that's good. Well, that is good. So yeah, let me check the plant and see if there's any. No. So yeah, there's no peduncles on it, and it is quite young for peduncles or inflorescences. So yeah, this is my Hoya australis Lisa. Not much more to say about this one, except I really think it's such a pretty plant. Okay, let me get another Hoya. So the last Hoya I'm going to be introducing you today, or the last Hoya that I have in my whole grow collection, is my Hoya australis, Hoya carnosa crinkle 8. And I'm not a big fan of the Hoya carnosa compacta because of the pest potential. Just because it has so many nooks and crannies that it just seems like a really big pest magnet. And this one seems like less so because the leaves are still crinkly like the compacta, but they're open, so if there are any pests in there, I can sort of find them more easily than with the Hoya carnosa compacta. But it seems like a very vigorous orchid, not orchid. It seems like a very vigorous Hoya, the carnosa, because look at all these adventitious roots that are poking out right here. So actually I might just take a cutting of this one and root it up so I can have one indoors, because as I said before, this one is growing outdoors. And now that I'm looking at the pot, I'm actually noticing that there's one plant right there. There's a leaf right here that is rooted. And then there's 2 plants right there, so potentially 4 plants. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. So yeah, this leaf, this is a little plant right here, this one right here, and this one. And then this plant is putting out a new vine right there, so that's good. Anyways, this is going to conclude my Hoya introduction. So just to recap, we had my Hoya lacunosa, my Hoya species affinis burtoniae, we had my Hoya polynura, my Hoya bella. Then we had my Hoya kerrii, Hoya linearis, Hoya australis liso, Hoya Diversifolia, and now my Hoya carnosa crinkle 8. So, I almost forgot to show you my biggest Hoya, which is my Hoya australis. So yeah, this one I got from Home Depot, and I got this for about $13, and it was probably half the size it is now. But it grows like crazy. As you might be able to see, it's growing up into the awning or whatever this structure on the building is called. Yeah, super easy to grow, this one. And this one I've kept outside all year round, so it can handle lows down to the 40s. And I've actually heard that this one is semi-frost resistant, and like it can take light frost. So if you want to grow this one outside and you don't have any frost in your area, this is definitely a good candidate. And if you want to see the conditions that this one gets in terms of light, you can go check out my outdoor grow area tour and see exactly how much light this one is getting. So yeah, this is going to officially conclude the Hoya collection introduction, and I'll see you later. Bye.